Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another time here at the book club. Thanks for stopping by. We've been doing a read through TD Jake's book. Don't drop the mic. You're welcome, Topper. And we're gonna go on to chapter 8 today. Um, Pretty much we're the second chapter that covers the promise of practice. That is what comes as we practice, the things that we get from practicing communication. So last week we talked about language. Today we're going to talk about the body language, right? Language in terms of what words mean. Today we're talking about what body language is, what the pitch, what the way we talk, the way we carry ourselves, the way we dress, how it affects our communication. That's what we want to share today. And the very first quote that the book starts with is one by John Maxwell, which just says, people may hear your words, right, but they feel your attitude, right? Uh, and that just tells us what the popular saying by Maya Angelou, which says that people might not remember anything about what you said, but they'll remember how what you said made them feel, right? And our eyes really take priority over our ears in terms of what we receive, what we hear, right? Again, whatever we take through all of our senses is not exactly what we receive, right? Our eyes, our nose, our skin, our ears, all taking a message. But first of all of that message goes first to our brain. Our brain interprets it. What our brain interprets is what we truly see, what we truly hear, what we truly feel. We don't necessarily see or feel or smell reality. We smell, we see what our brain interprets reality as. So really what what we see and think is reality is not necessarily reality, it's perception. And that perception is only as close or as far away from reality based on the paradigm our life is running on. Our paradigm might make us either close to reality or further away from reality, right? So if we know have this understanding, then it helps us when we're communicating with people because there's something that we want to say to them, which might not necessarily be what they're hearing. It has nothing to do with what we are saying. We're saying what we want to say, but they are hearing what they hear, which might be different from what we're saying. Because whatever we're saying gets interpreted by their brain, by their mind, by their brain. And whatever that result of that interpretation is what truly they are saying, right? So we need to use that knowledge of that in communication on getting our message through to whoever our audience might be that we're trying to get the message to, right? So Tilly Jakes does write in a book, your language, your body language and energy level will largely determine the energy level, engagement, and intensity of your audience, right? Also, still part of what we're talking about in terms of what the audience is receiving, but they also will relate to what we're communicating the way we relate to it, right? If I'm communicating and I'm married to what I'm communicating, that will tend to be reflected in my audience. They will also want to relate with the message to the extent to which I am relating with it or not relating with it, right? So that's why when we're communicating, it's not just what we're saying, but it's every gesticulation that we're making is part of the communication. And those are even more powerful than what we're saying because they can either uh, accentuate what we're trying to say, or they could cover it up such that we know the person doesn't hear what we're saying, right? They can obliterate the power and the message we're trying to communicate. right? Because in what everybody perceives or receives, what they see is higher in the hierarchy to what they hear. And so what they see can obliterate or alter or color what is being heard, right? So we need to be careful then that there's an harmony between what we're saying and what we're doing, our gesticulation, our presentation, our presence, right? So that's key when it comes to communication. And J.D. Jakes just goes on ahead and say that, yeah, though you might capture the audience at certain points in time, maybe at the beginning when they are open to receive from you, it's now up to you to be able to keep that attention, right? You keep that attention by making connections between what you are saying, right? The way you are able to make them to be able to relate with that message. You're able to, as it were, sell your message and yourself to them. It's the way by which you're able to capture them, right? So it's all about marketing. You're marketing your message, you're marketing your brand, you're marketing your person to the audience, right? To the extent to which they buy what you're marketing is the extent to which you can capture their attention to follow you through and be able to receive your message, right? So we'll go on to slide 6 here. And when it comes to oral communication, right, your audience does not have the benefit of written conventions, right? And so, every communication has its own boundaries, as well. What we'll call the science of communication. There are science of written communication. There's science of oral communication. They both have their benefit, their advantages and disadvantages. They both can sell their messages all on their own, right? And one can help the other. They are like the chicken and the egg, right? I have done a lot of writing. I do a lot of writing, and my writing has helped me in my oral communication because that's given me depth. Also, my oral communication also helps my writing, right? Because I'm able to learn and gain insight from talking, from speaking, right? I grow in that space of speaking, and what I speak and the new insight I get while speaking helps the way I write. And maybe better still, which is something I learned from one of my mentors, Hal Nightingale, says that the easiest way to write is writing the way you talk. So if you see most of my writing, you will see that they're pretty much married to the way I talk. I write as if I'm talking. That makes writing so easy for me, right? So both of them have helped each other for me. However, their conventions around talking, their conventions around writing, they're not necessarily the same. So you have to be careful that you don't use the same convention you would typically use in oral communication with writing. With oral communication, you are there, people can see your gesticulations, they can see your emotions and get the fullness of the message from just seeing you, your presence in communicating. When you're writing, you're not there, right? They can't see your emotions. So you have to be careful the words you use so that you don't sell the wrong emotions to the person that's reading it, right? Same thing, even while talking, make sure that even the emotions that have been seen is in consonance, is aligned with the message that's being given, right? Because to the extent to which they are aligned is the extent to which your message gets across to the audience, right? And go on to slide 7 here, and that's something TD Jakes was trying to emphasize here, saying your body language, your physical presence, your voice variations, your speech patterns provide extraordinary opportunities to enhance and reinforce and embellish your message. They all had up, right? And slide 8 here, it just says that while ambiguity or uncertainty may be deliberate, just saying that the fact of the matter is, but irrespective of the communication you're trying to have, you need to try to make sure there's no ambiguity, there's no uncertainty. Your message is clear, right? You don't leave doubts in the mind of your audience. Otherwise, your message can go either way, right? And you will not have achieved the intent of your communication. Because the intent of every communication is action. If you have clarity in or on your message, then people don't know the action they're supposed to take, or might end up taking the action they're not supposed to take, and therefore you have defeated the intent, purpose of your communication. So I want to be as clear as possible, so that people can then focus on what needs to be done. And now talking about dressing, right? Dressing goes a long way in communication because it's part of your presence, right? You want your dressing to be as much as possible you want to be comfortable, right? And you also want that your dressing does not negate your message, right? Your dressing needs to be in line with your message, and both of them need to reinforce the same thing, trying to get that same message across, right? So dressing is important. Your presence needs to support your message, right? That's pretty much that. And typically, you want to dress and be in unison with the people you're communicating with. You want to associate with them and not as if make yourself something different from them, because they need to see that they're talking to someone like them. Otherwise, they might not receive your message, right? You don't want your dressing to overshadow or be too loud, such that people are not listening to what you're saying because your dressing is too loud. Your dressing needs to support your message, for it to be able to ring down in. Hey, Ann, you're welcome.
Oh yeah, hi Uncle. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, I'm well, thank you. Sorry, I sent the reminder late. It's my fault.
No, that's okay.
Oh, your nose is running, huh?
Yeah, it's cold over here, so
I know.
It's like the weather is really bad.
I know. I remember February 15th. You know what happened February 15th?
Right, the snow, right?
Yeah, the snowstorm in Houston last year.
Right. The weather has been so bad in Texas. It's cold, warm. It's really bad. So
I can imagine.
Well, coughing, sneezing.
Yeah, don't worry. It's a seasonal thing. Yes. Yeah, that's one of those things. Yeah. So we'll just go to chapter 8.
Okay.
You have the book, so you've read it, have you?
Oh, I've not read this chapter yet.
You've not read this chapter. All right.
With my new job and
I can understand. Yeah. Well, it's just talking about body language, just saying that your body language needs to support your message, right? So your pitch, your tone, your pacing needs to support the message you're trying to communicate, because they could also stand in the way of the message and be sending a message that is different from the way you're trying to communicate. Like you have had an experience where people say that you are being disrespectful because your voice is loud, whereas that's not your intent, right? But it's a cultural clash. From their culture, it looks like it's this, whereas that's not the intent. Also the one that catches most of us Africans is when we're talking, we tend not to look at people's face. Right. And they tend to interpret it as not being confident, whereas that's not the truth, but just a cultural thing, Right. So you have to be aware of your audience and, do all you need to do such that your body carriage, your presence, your dressing, your tone, your pitch, your pace supports the message and rather stand in the way of the message. Right. So it's something one has to go to. If you have to find a win-win position for the audience that you are that you have in front of you. So that means there's no excuse, Some arcade people will say, oh, this is where I am, this is where I am. But the way you are will not get your message across. So you need to choose whether you want to speak to this new group or you want to be speaking to your old group. If you want to speak to this new group, then you need to change or adapt your body language to be able to send the message across. You know, like Paul will say, I became all things to all men just to win them. You know, so when we come in a communication position and want to pass that message across, it duty beholds us to be able to continue to learn how to adapt our message in such a way that our body language doesn't stand in the way of our communication. Yeah, so that's what it's talking here about dressing, and I'm going to go on to slide 12 here. He's just saying that, and this is a quote by Winston Churchill, that if you have a message, you have a point to pass across, and make sure that you re-emphasize and re-emphasize that point, and don't let it be covered by all the other things you have to say. Because sometimes some people get carried away by trying to do explanations, and the explanation becloud the main message. So people go away with something different from what they're supposed to go away with. You know, it's good to make explanations and do connections, but you must make sure that people don't miss the core of the message you're trying to pass across. Right. So, yeah, so that's pretty much a summary of it all. I'm going to run through a bit of the exercise here. It just talks about what each person's experience has been when you're in a place where you get bored. The person that is speaking to you that is not connecting with you, what kind of, how do you show that? You know, we show, some of us look at our wristwatch just to think about the time, how much time we have to suffer, you know, that particular occasion. Some of us just blank out, we're thinking about something else altogether, you know, but just to get an understanding of how people manage those occasions when they are not connecting with the message, you know.
Right.
So let me ask you, are you able to read people's body language? I think as a woman, I'm sure the first answer will be yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, I'll say yeah, because I don't know, because women, I think for us, we everybody language, like even for our spouses, if you know, we tend to kind of read meaning into their body language, into like, oh, okay, if like, if you like my husband, if my husband answers me a certain way, I'm like, okay, why do you answer me? Why are you answering me like that? But it's like, oh, I didn't answer you like that. But that's the way it seems to me.
Yes.
So yeah, we do read. Yeah, I mean, you read body language. I mean, someone just rolling their eyes, you already know. Okay,
yes.
Someone just, the way someone looks at you.
Yeah.
So we all read body language, and that's what you say. Like, even for our kids, they read our body language,
Yeah.
and especially for kids born here, they're very confident in who they are compared to kids in Nigeria. In that, they can say their mind, they can say whatever, how they feel. And if you don't look at them, they're like, oh, mommy, why are you looking at me like that? If you look at me a certain way, mommy, why are you looking at me like that? Or I don't like the way you're looking at me. So, but that, we all read body language, and so you're right. Sometimes we're trying to get a message across. We need to be very careful in the way that we come across in our body language. It may just be okay, like, your hand. Sometimes, we Africans like to use our hand when we're talking, so we'll be using our hand. Right. So all those things can like mean something else to somebody else, right?
Absolutely.
Right. The Americans don't really use their hands to, like, they just talk. They don't really, but we Africans, we tend to use a lot of our hands to communicate. Trying to get
we're dramatic.
We're dramatic, right? So yeah. So we all do read body language, and we just have to kind of be careful in the way that we come across, because somebody else may not be able to may read a different way, and so especially for somebody who is not mature, can read in a different way, and kind of affects their what I say, kind of affects what, like, like someone who is going through, is already a very someone that is not secure.
Insecure, yeah. Could affect their their how do you call it now? Their
Yeah.
confidence. It could also their morale.
Their morale, right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, I deal with that all the time. I deal with it. I mean, like, oh, I don't like, what was she, what did she mean? The way she was doing her body language. My husband's like, babe, you read meaning into everything. Forget it.
Yeah.
I can just go and think, oh, maybe they're mad at me, So, but you go and you think about it. And so that's, I mean, we need to get to a point where we're kind of also, tolerant of somebody else and kind of understand sometimes some of the things that we do it's not just make us okay, that's the way I am. No, you have to get to a place where we're growing also in our communication, where some of the things that we say, or sometimes that comes out from us, or the way that we act, or the way that we say it can affect somebody else. Like, I was saying really something. It's like sometimes we just communicating the way we feel, sometimes communicating the way we act, sometimes it's just like a cancer. It's just like a cancer, because it affects somebody else, and then but we're just like, oh, that's me, I need to get my point across. No, we get to a place where we are tolerant of each other and
empathic.
And empathic, very. You have to be empathic of other people too, right?
Absolutely. Great. Let's see what this other study guide carries for us. He's talking about to look at your photos, more like in terms of you prepare yourself to how do you dress to be able to make the right impact in communication. Are there particular dresses that don't make you comfortable, the ones that make you comfortable, because depending on where you're called to meet to minister to preach or to give the talk, there might be different dressing that will fit each occasion. Right. Some people seem to have to think that a suit and a tie will fit every occasion. Well, that's not true, because we go to a suit and tie to a place where everybody is informal. The message won't get through. They're going to see you as an outsider. All right. If you go to a place where everybody's wearing suit and you're dressing informal, unless they know you before, they're going to see you as an outsider. Right. And that can affect the way your message is being received. Right. And if you also go to a place that is formal, but you are not used to wearing formal clothing, and you push yourself and force yourself into formal clothing, they will accept you, but you will not be able to flow. Right. Because it's not a clothing that you're used to. So you have to find a middle ground in such occasions. And in such occasions, you might even be allowed to be informal, right? But there must be a reason behind it. Right. Because if in a formal setting, they call you and they know you are not a formal person normally, that means there's something about you that they want that is bigger and higher than your dressing. Right. Otherwise, they will not have invited you in the first place. Right. So then you need to then go as the person they invited and not try to be what you are not. Right. Because if you dress in what you are not, that might stand in the way of the message, and that might defeat the intent of the invitation. Right. So it kind of varies depending on the occasion, circumstance, of the message you are trying to present. Do you have anything to say on that? Well, I mean, that's right, because I mean, like, if you're a director of a company or like a CEO of a company and you're wearing, I mean, you can wear jeans or anything, but like when you're trying to win a contract or trying to meet with other CEOs, you dress formal. I mean, it's just like also in the hospital when sometimes the doctor wears scrubs like what the nurses wear, and they come to and make rounds, and the patient can just say, nurse, and calls the doctor a nurse because she's dressed the way that the other nurses are dressed, and she's like, oh no, I'm your doctor this morning. She's like, oh, okay. So there are certain times where you can dress like you said, like formal, and there's sometimes where you have to dress like informal. If you're going to lunch, you dress informal, right? But if you're trying to win a contract, trying to do business, you want to be dressed formal. I mean, it doesn't have to be this right now. It doesn't have to be like a jacket and tie, and but you want to dress formal so that
those that you're trying to talk, to talk to, the other CEOs will take you seriously, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So that's important. Yeah. I think that covers everything on that on this particular study guide. All right. The next one. How often do you rely on your voice as a vocal instrument during a speech or a presentation? Uh, you know what I mean by that in terms of your ability to know when to raise your voice, lower your voice.
right.
You know, for me, what I try to do today is I marry the message, right? I see myself as the message, right? So every time I'm studying, I am becoming what I am studying, such
Right.
that it's easy for me now to voice it out, right?
Right.
And in voicing out, because I've already married it, different emotions show as I relate with different topics. I'm not like putting it in my head. If it's in my head, then I start thinking about who I'm going to raise my voice, going to lower my voice. But for me, because I married the message, the emotions flow of their own accord.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So that to me is my own strategy around it. In all that I teach today, I push and press to marry the message. I'm not like a lecturer who has something in my head I'm teaching. I am someone that has become the message I'm
Right.
trying to give. So the emotions flow of that free accord.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I said, right, that's true. I mean, everybody, our tone is different. Everybody has different tone in their voice, just like I mean, just like TD Jakes, he's like, he goes through the motions, right? He goes through his low, then his high, then his low, then his high, and then some people are just like mellow, just like Joel Osteen is just
Oh
he's
yeah.
just like a mellow preacher. He preaches, but those when then he will cry.
Yeah.
But that's that's his own voice. That's his own uniqueness. He's
Yes.
unique in his own way. In that
Yeah.
that's how he carries. That's how he his speech comes out.
Yeah.
For his particular audience. So and then so like you say, you have to actually really be the message. When you be the message, it comes to you naturally. It comes to you naturally because then you're able to talk about like your emotion is in it, not like your emotion is in the message. And that when I see people who give really great speeches, it's not because they are screaming or shouting, but because they are the message. They have allowed us, the message has become part of them. And when they talk about it, it's convincing. They're able to carry their message across to the audience because the message has become it's become part of them. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah. I mean, the other side to it is my mentors would say, you have to let what you're saying or what you're planning to uh or let me start with, you have to let life touch you, right?
Right.
If what you're preaching does not touch you, you cannot
Right.
touch the people you're communicating with.
Right.
So when you're talking about something that it's sad, you cannot be joking about it,
Right.
because that means you're not being touched by what you're saying.
What you're saying. Right.
So the people hearing you are confused.
Right.
Your tone, your courage needs to carry the emotion of what you're saying,
What you're saying.
because what people are hearing is not just the words you're saying, but the emotions with which you're saying it also. That's why people, someone like Joel Austin, will touch people, because he has allowed himself, he has released himself, to go with the flow of the message, right?
Right.
He cries, that's him, but that crying is showing that he can be touched by what he's saying.
Right.
If he can be touched by it, then people that he's speaking to will then also be able to be touched by it also.
It also.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that everybody should cry, but the key word
No.
there is that you are touched by the message, right?
Yeah.
And it
Right.
has to be.
Right. And
Go
you're
ahead.
taught by you're taught by humanity. You're
Yes,
taught by
yes,
humanity. Okay, you know, you feel you have the feel. You have to be empathic. And that's one thing. Is
yes,
like you cannot be sympathetic, but you
yeah,
have to have empathy. That's something that
yes,
you all have to have some sort of empathy towards
yes,
somebody. You know, as a nurse,
yes,
I'm empathetic. I'm not sympathetic, but
yeah,
I empathize with. Okay, this is what they are going through. I empathize, and
yes,
now for you to be able to carry your message, you have to be in the place where you are you empathize. You just don't say, okay,
yes,
God will make it happen. Yeah, no, are you empathetic towards this towards humanity? So
absolutely,
so
absolutely, absolutely. And that's like saying that you walk a mile in their shoes,
right,
right? Yeah, you have to walk a mile in their shoes and not see them as separate beings from yourself.
right, right,
Otherwise, then you'll be throwing a stone across the fence
right.
rather than embracing them where they are.
Where they are, right,
Yeah, yeah, and that makes a difference to whether the people receive your message or not, whether you're able to change the lives or not. Yeah, awesome. So the last one is how can you tell when you are relying too much on body language? Because all what we have said here is a science of communication. How you
right,
apply it is a different thing altogether.
right,
It's just like when you have salt, you have pepper, they're good, but in too small quantity, they are useless. In too much
right.
quantity, they are useless. It has to be the right amount, right?
Yeah,
That will give you the quality that you are desiring, right? So
right,
even though both of them will make a difference to the soup or to the food, but it has to be in the right amount. Otherwise, then you lose the intent of doing it. So same thing with body language. It has to be in the right amount. Otherwise, you lose the intent of doing it because all you are
right,
doing is conscious about your body language. That's all people will see. They won't hear your word.
right, right,
So it has to be the right amount in order to ensure that the message gets home.
right, right. You cannot just say, okay, it's just be stiff and talk and preach. No, you
Yeah.
see, yeah, because you're conscious about it. You cannot now, then you cannot be overdoing it. So I guess it comes with,
Practice.
yes, it comes with
Yeah.
practice. It comes with the more you do it, the more
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So
The
it's not
more you
something
do it,
that's
it becomes a part of you
become a part of
because
you. Yeah.
yeah, when you're communicating, you're reading body language. You're reading the audience. You
Right.
can tell when I did this one, they went to sleep. With that one, they
Right.
did this. Over
Right.
time, you get used to it and find what's perfect.
Right.
You get better with time.
With time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even for your kids, they read your body language, and sometimes you have to tell yourself, okay, it's not that bad. You know, you have to tell yourself as a parent, okay, calm down and just talk to them like my kids. Just tell them, okay, Jonathan, it's okay. Mommy said, because when I found out that when I scream, when I raise my voice, especially as Azariah, he just he gets more mad. so so then I have to tell myself, okay, I have to like, okay, and you just no, just talk,
Yeah.
you don't have to always use your hand and your body and
Yeah. You have to find what works for your kid.
right,
Yeah, you have to find out what works for your kid because it's not the same that works for everybody.
right.
Yeah. So yeah. Uh, okay, so when you're relying to me, I already done that. So I was already done that. All right, I have. I think there's the last one, and I think I have mixed them up together. Uh,
I
I
think there's one
already
still that
done.
among the speakers you
Yes,
had.
there's one there. It's like I didn't say what. How can you tell when you are relying too much on your body language? Uh, all right. used to
I think we
rely on your on your voice. I've mixed them up. There's
I
one
think we
is
did,
on your voice. This last one is the right one. Oh, I can tell when you're relying too much on your body language.
I
You're
thought we did.
relying too much. Well, the first one was on the voice. I think, how often do you rely on your voice? How how
No, I thought we did the
how can you
body.
tell? I missed something altogether. Tell me.
Yeah,
Go
I think
ahead.
we did the body. I thought we did the body because we talked about if you
Yes,
have.
we already talked about it, which is supposed to be the last one. But on three here, I don't know how we jumped the body. The body was always said here, and it
Right.
was supposed to be how often do you rely on your voice, which is correct. All right. I think we already talked about the first one, which is the body here.
Right.
The last one is, what are some of your favorite ways to empty your body all right, that's what I was looking for.
No.
And to employ your body. That's what are some of your favorite ways to employ? That's why I missed it. I was looking at this. It's to employ your body, not
No.
as what are some of your favorite ways to employ your body as a speaker? And what do you communicate with those gestures? I mean, just saying what are your different body languages that you use? Well, I'm very good at gesticulating with my hands, you know.
Right. Right.
I love to use my hands, you know, more like demonstrating what is in my mind that I'm saying. So
Right.
yeah. Uh,
I think all speakers do that. I mean, in most speakers do that in in different degree.
Different degrees, yes. I actually
Right.
listened to a TED talk
Right.
that says uh, that is one of the ways that makes your message memorable.
Right.
When you don't move your hands, people, and they see you move your hands. Someone did some researcher makes the message more memorable than when it's not there.
Right.
Hello.
Hello. I'm here.
Hello. All right. I think it went slightly. You did
Yeah.
you hear
When
what I
I
said
hear,
about the gesticulation?
yes, that some people use some part of their hand. Right. In the TED talk.
Yes, and I said that was a TED talk. Yes, yeah. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like that's true because you have to actually use your hands. Just like Priscilla Shiria, when she
Mm-hmm.
talks, she talks, she uses her hands, you know,
Mm,
she when she uses her hand to kind of carry the message across.
mm.
So yeah, so I think most great speakers do that. Use their hands to some degree.
Yeah. If you don't use your hand, it shows a bit of it not being comfortable with the message.
Right.
It shows a bit of you probably either someone is forcing you to give the message, or you didn't prepare enough and you are
Right.
shaking on the inside.
Right.
That's the body language I read. You're not using your hand.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. All right. I have three books I put here. I have a fourth one anyway. And I can. So this one is about just etiquette, business class etiquette. You know, I've
Mhm.
not read it before. I've had it for years. You know, if it interests anyone. And this next one is about reinventing yourself, still towards business, branding yourself. This last one I like best because it talks about money. I've not read any of the three of them. It's just talks about relationship with money and how to make money. And there's the last one by Rihanna Houghton. One second, I saw it recently. Let me bring it up. Well, give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right. I'm not easily catching it now, but I know it's somewhere in the house. It's titled Thrive. It's just about Ariana's book. It's talking about how to succeed in life. The title is Thrive. Yeah. I'll bring that when I say. And any other book you might be interested in. Yes, we still have how many weeks to go in this one? Let me see. So we're in chapter, just do chapter 8 now. So we have what's the last? We have up to chapter 15. So we have 8 more weeks at least. That'll take us to the about end of March. So yeah, about end of March. At some point in time, if you decide on any book you want us to read next, let me know.
Okay, I thought I know Chidi.
Yeah, I asked him, but he said I had to look. I couldn't find the link he had sent me because I think it might have been in between when I changed points. So I'll still check it, but he wasn't strong about it. He told me that he didn't suggest any. So it wasn't strong about the one he sent to me.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free. Think about it. If anything comes to mind that you want to, I'm open.
Okay.
Bele?
Okay.